The Imperial survey ship drifted silently at the edge of the Sol system. Its sensors swept across the third planet, detecting radio waves, primitive satellites, and the early signs of space exploration. Captain Wells of the Imperial Exploration Fleet made notes in his log with a satisfied smile. Another primitive world, ripe for conquest. What his sensors failed to detect, however, was the advanced stealth satellite that hung in high orbit above Earth. Deep within the hidden chambers of Earth's United Defense Force headquarters, Admiral James watched the alien ship's every move. The graying commander stood before a vast holographic display, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of tactical readouts. "They're scanning us again, sir," Lieutenant Anna reported from her station. "Same frequency as before. They're buying it." Admiral James nodded slowly. "Continue broadcasting the prepared radio signals. Let them think we're still arguing about lunar mining rights and struggling with basic ion propulsion." His voice carried the weight of 20 years of military service, but there was a hint of satisfaction in it. The truth was far different from what the Imperial sensors reported. Earth had achieved faster-than-light travel nearly 50 years ago, but a decision had been made then that would shape humanity's future. They would hide their true capabilities. The galaxy was vast and unknown, and humanity had learned enough from its own history to be cautious. Deep within the asteroid belt, hidden by sophisticated cloaking technology, humanity's real fleet waited. 300 ships of the line, each carrying enough firepower to level a continent. They were the product of centuries of human warfare and innovation, improved upon by decades of observing alien civilizations from afar. "Admiral," Commander Peter called out, his voice tense, "we're detecting a transmission from the Imperial vessel. They're reporting back to their command." James moved to Peter's station, reading the decoded alien transmission. The Universal Translator, another piece of technology the Empire didn't know humanity possessed, converted the alien script in real time. "System 2447B, preliminary survey complete. Indigenous species, pre-spacefaring civilization, type 0.8 on the Imperial Development Scale. Recommended action. Standard diplomatic contact and integration protocol. Note: rich mineral deposits detected. Planet suitable for resource extraction operations." Admiral James allowed himself a small smile. "Operation Hidden Hand continues as planned," he announced to the command staff. "Maintain our facade of primitive technology. Let them think we're an easy target." In the following days, the Imperial survey ship made several passes through the solar system. Each time, they found exactly what Earth wanted them to find: outdated satellites, primitive space stations, and radio broadcasts carefully crafted to demonstrate a civilization just beginning to reach for the stars. What they didn't find were the massive shipyards hidden in Mercury's orbit, shielded from detection by technology that the Empire couldn't even comprehend. They missed the quantum communication arrays disguised as simple weather satellites and the antimatter production facilities buried deep within the moon's dark side. "Sir," Anna called out 1 week into the surveillance, "they're leaving. Course plotting indicates they're heading back to Imperial space." James watched the alien ship disappear into faster-than-light travel. He knew what would come next. The Empire would send their diplomats, thinking they were dealing with a primitive species easy to subjugate. They would make demands, offer protection, and attempt to turn Earth into just another resource extraction colony. "Send word to Fleet Commander Mary," he ordered. "Begin Phase 2 of Operation Hidden Hand. When they return, they need to find exactly what they expect: a seemingly helpless planet ready for conquest." He paused, looking at the tactical display showing Earth's hidden military might. And may they never realize their mistake until it's far too late. The command center hummed with quiet activity as Earth's defenders continued their work. Humanity had spent decades preparing for this moment, and now the game would truly begin. The Empire was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating those they considered primitive, but that lesson would come at a time of humanity's choosing. In the darkness of space, Earth's secret fleet continued its silent watch, waiting for the day when the Empire's arrogance would be their undoing. 3 months after the initial survey, the Empire's diplomatic fleet arrived in the Sol system. 5 massive warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, their hulls gleaming under the distant sunlight. Each ship was bigger than anything humanity publicly displayed, designed to intimidate what the Empire believed to be a primitive civilization. In the United Nations Emergency Council chamber, Admiral James sat quietly among Earth's apparent leadership. The room was deliberately designed to look both important and outdated: old-style wooden panels, basic digital displays, and notepads instead of holographic interfaces. It was all part of the deception. The Imperial Ambassador, Lord Richard, strode into the chamber flanked by his guards. He wore an ornate uniform covered in medals and decorations, his posture radiating arrogance. The Empire always sent their most pompous officials for first contact missions. They believed it helped intimidate primitive species. "People of Earth," Lord Richard announced, his voice carrying through the chamber. "The Galactic Empire extends its protection to your world. We have determined that your civilization requires guidance to join the greater galactic community." Fleet Commander Mary watched the proceedings through a hidden camera from her real command center in the lunar base Alpha. Her lips curled into a slight smile as she observed the Empire falling perfectly into their trap. On her tactical display, she could see the positions of Earth's hidden fleet, now numbering over 300 ships, all cloaked and waiting. "The Empire requires only modest tribute," Lord Richard continued, displaying a hologram of resource quotas: 30% of your mineral production, 50% of your rare earth elements, and the establishment of an Imperial oversight base in your largest population center. The Earth representatives played their parts perfectly. Some showed fear, others indignation, and a few displayed careful calculation, exactly what the Empire expected from a primitive species facing a superior force. Admiral James raised his hand, playing the role of a cautious military leader. "And if we refuse?" he asked, his voice carrying just the right amount of worry. Lord Richard smiled coldly. "Then we would be forced to demonstrate the consequences of defying Imperial protection." He gestured, and the hologram changed to show the 5 Imperial warships in orbit. "Each of these ships carries enough firepower to level one of your cities. Surely you understand the wisdom of accepting our generous offer." In the asteroid belt, Captain Robert received the encrypted transmission from Fleet Commander Mary. His ship, along with 50 others, quietly moved into new positions, maintaining their perfect stealth coverage. The Empire's ships were being studied, scanned, and analyzed by technology far beyond their understanding. "We request time to consider your offer," one of Earth's political representatives said, voice trembling right on cue. "Our governmental system requires consensus from multiple nations." Lord Richard waved his hand dismissively. "You have 48 of your Earth hours to accept our terms. The Empire is generous, but not patient." As the Imperial delegation left the chamber, Admiral James maintained his worried expression. Only when he reached the secure underground bunker did he allow himself to smile. "Status report," he commanded, activating the quantum communication link to Fleet Commander Mary. "All according to plan," Mary responded. "Their ships are exactly what we expected. Class 4 Imperial destroyers, running on standard antimatter drives. Their shield configurations are already mapped. Captain Roberts' teams have identified 17 critical weaknesses in their design. And they still haven't detected our fleet." "Not a single ship," Mary confirmed. "Their sensor technology is decades behind ours. They're still using basic quantum field detection, while we're operating on dark energy matrices." Admiral James nodded. "Send word to all commands. Continue Operation Hidden Hand. Let them establish their base. Let them think they've won." He looked at the real tactical display, showing the true extent of Earth's military power. "The bigger their fleet grows here, the more we'll take when we spring our trap." In orbit, the Imperial ships maintained their threatening positions, their crews confident in their absolute superiority. Below them, Humanity continued its greatest deception, preparing for the day when the Empire would learn the true cost of their arrogance. The Empire's new base rose slowly on the outskirts of New York City. Imperial workers moved back and forth, constructing what they believed would be their center of power on Earth. They never noticed the quantum sensors hidden in the foundation, recording every detail of their technology. Captain Robert stood in the hidden laboratory beneath the Martian surface, studying the holographic display of an Imperial weapon they had secretly copied. Around him, Earth's best scientists worked tirelessly, not just understanding the Empire's technology, but improving it. "Look at this, Captain," Dr. Bill said, pointing to a component in the Imperial gun. "They're still using standard particle acceleration. They don't even understand how to manipulate quantum fields for weapon focusing." The scientist's eyes gleamed with excitement. "We've already made their design 50% more efficient." In another part of the facility, engineers were taking apart a captured Imperial shield generator. The Empire believed they had acquired it through a shipping accident, never suspecting it was all part of humanity's plan. "The flaw is right here," Engineer Jane explained to her team. "Their shields can't adapt to changing frequencies. One good hit with our phase-shifting weapons will drop their defenses completely." Captain Robert moved through the facility, watching as humanity's greatest minds worked to turn the Empire's own technology against them. In one room, they were developing ships that could move without leaving any energy signature. In another, they were perfecting weapons that could bypass Imperial shields as if they weren't even there. Above Mars, hidden in the planet's magnetic field, Earth's newest ships were being built. Their designs incorporated everything learned from studying the Empire, but with improvements the aliens had never imagined. Each vessel was a perfect blend of human innovation and reversed-engineered Imperial technology. Status report. Admiral James's hologram appeared in the command center. "Better than expected, sir," Captain Robert replied. "The Empire's technology is advanced, but they've grown lazy. They haven't made any major improvements in the last 100 years. We've already surpassed them in several areas." The Admiral nodded. "The Imperial governor is getting more demanding. They're starting to strip mine the Sahara. Perfect cover for us to test our new weapons in the desert without them noticing." In the desert facility, Lieutenant Tom supervised another weapons test. A prototype phase cannon fired at a copied Imperial shield. The beam passed through it like it wasn't even there, leaving a clean hole in the target behind it. "Send the data to Fleet Commander Mary," Tom ordered, "and make sure some of our primitive weapons testing is visible to Imperial satellites. We need to keep them confident." The Empire's overconfidence grew with each passing day. They saw humans struggling with basic spaceflight, never suspecting that Earth's real ships could outmaneuver and outfight anything in the Imperial fleet. They watched humans working with simple projectile weapons, not knowing that quantum-based arms were being manufactured in hidden facilities across the solar system. In orbit, Imperial ships patrolled lazily, their crews bored with watching over what they thought was a primitive world. They never detected the advanced stealth ships that sometimes flew right past them, testing their blind spots and reaction times. The Empire's fleet above Earth has grown to 15 ships. Fleet Commander Mary reported during the daily briefing. "They think they're showing strength. Really, they're just giving us more targets to study." Admiral James looked at the tactical display showing all of humanity's hidden preparations. "How many ships do we have ready now?" 350, sir. Each one capable of taking on 3 Imperial vessels at once. And they still haven't found a single one." The Admiral smiled grimly. "Keep building. Keep improving. And most importantly, keep them believing in their superiority." He looked at the image of the Imperial base in New York. Their pride will be their downfall. In the depths of space, in hidden bases and secret facilities, humanity continued its work. The Empire thought they were dealing with simple, primitive humans. Soon, very soon, they would learn just how wrong they were. 6 months into the occupation, the Imperial governor called for an emergency meeting with Earth's leaders. The Grand Hall of the Imperial Base in New York gleamed with alien metals and imposing architecture, designed to make humans feel small and powerless. Lord Richard paced before the assembled human representatives, his face twisted with anger. "Your mining output is too slow. The Empire demands more resources." He slammed his fist on the table, making the primitive Earth computers jump. "We are sending 50 more ships to ensure proper compliance." Admiral James, sitting among Earth's apparent leadership, fought to hide his smile. This was exactly what they had been waiting for. Instead, he made his face show fear. 50 Imperial warships. Surely that's not necessary. "The Empire's patience grows thin," Lord Richard sneered. "These ships will establish permanent bases across your planet. Resistance is futile." In the hidden command center beneath the Pacific Ocean, Fleet Commander Mary received the news with calm satisfaction. "They're bringing exactly the number of ships we predicted, Admiral," she said through their quantum link. "Pride makes them predictable." The next few days saw frantic activity across Earth, all of it carefully staged for Imperial eyes. They watched humans panicking, arguing in their governments, and making weak attempts to protest. The Empire's spies reported exactly what humanity wanted them to see, a primitive civilization realizing its helplessness. Meanwhile, in the void beyond Mars, Captain Robert oversaw the final preparations of humanity's true fleet. "All ships report ready, Commander," he transmitted to Mary. 400 vessels, with our newest weapons and shields. The Empire won't know what hit them." The Imperial reinforcement fleet arrived with all the subtlety of a thunderstorm. 50 massive warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, their hulls blocking out the stars as they moved into orbit around Earth. Each ship carried enough firepower to level a city, or so the Empire believed. Lord Richard stood proudly on his flagship's bridge, watching the displays as his fleet took up position. "Look at them scrambling down there," he said to his officers. "These primitives finally understand their place in the galaxy." What he couldn't see was Lieutenant Tom's stealth squadron, hidden in the dark side of the moon. "All weapons locked and coded, sir," Tom reported to Fleet Command. "Phase cannons ready. Shield frequencies mapped. We can take down their entire fleet before they even realize they're under attack." But Admiral James had other plans. "Hold position," he ordered. "Let them land their troops first. Let them commit fully to their mistake." The Imperial ships began their show of force, descending into low orbit with their weapons charged. Their sensors showed only frightened humans and primitive defenses. They never detected the quantum field disruptors that were recording their every move, or the advanced targeting systems plotting their weaknesses. In hidden bases across the solar system, humanity's real military prepared for battle. Engineers made final adjustments to weapons that could pierce Imperial shields like paper. Pilots ran last-minute checks on ships that could outmaneuver anything the Empire had ever built. "Status report." Admiral James called from his real command center, deep within Mount Everest. 300 ships in the asteroid belt, ready to attack from above. Captain Robert reported. 100 more hidden in the Kuiper belt, ready to cut off their retreat, Fleet Commander Mary added. And 50 stealth vessels surrounding Earth, weapons locked and ready, Lieutenant Tom confirmed. Admiral James looked at the tactical display showing the Imperial fleet, so proud and confident in their superiority. Soon they would learn the cost of underestimating humanity. Soon they would understand just how badly they had been deceived. "Hold positions," he ordered. "Let them think they've won. The bigger their celebration, the harder they'll fall." Above Earth, the Imperial fleet continued their show of force, unaware that they were already surrounded, outgunned, and outdated. The trap was set, and the Empire had walked right into it. The Imperial fleet hung in Earth's orbit like a swarm of giant metal wasps. Their crews were relaxed, confident in their overwhelming superiority. On the bridge of the Imperial flagship, Lord Richard watched with satisfaction as his troops began landing on the planet's surface. "My lord," an officer called out, "we're detecting some small ships trying to leave the atmosphere." Primitive vessels, probably trying to escape. Lord Richard smiled coldly. Let them run. It will show the others the futility of resistance. The primitive vessels were led by Lieutenant Tom, his small fleet of apparent escape ships moving exactly as planned. They're taking the bait, Admiral, he reported through the quantum link. All Imperial attention is focused on us. Deep within the hidden command center. Admiral James nodded. Begin Phase 1, he ordered. Suddenly, the sun erupted with a massive solar flare, precisely engineered by humanity's hidden solar stations. The Imperial fleet's sensors were momentarily blinded by the radiation burst, exactly as planned. What's happening? Lord Richard demanded as his ship's displays flickered. Get those sensors back online. By the time the Imperial sensors cleared, it was too late. From behind the sun, emerging from perfectly calculated stealth positions, came the first wave of Earth's real fleet. 100 warships, each more advanced than anything the Empire had ever seen, appeared as if from nowhere. Impossible. Lord Richard stumbled back from his display. These readings can't be correct. These ships, they're more advanced than our own. Captain Robert led the first attack wave. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta, he commanded. Remember your training. Their shields can't adapt to our phase-shifted weapons. The first volley caught the Imperial fleet completely by surprise. Phase cannons cut through their supposedly impenetrable shields like they weren't even there. 3 Imperial capital ships fell in the first 30 seconds, their crews never even having a chance to return fire. My lord, an Imperial officer screamed. We're detecting more ships, hundreds of them, coming from the asteroid belt. Fleet Commander Mary led the second wave personally. Her ships emerged from their hiding places among the asteroids, their advanced engines bringing them into battle position in seconds. All ships, commence attack pattern Omega, she ordered. Cut off their retreat paths. The Imperial fleet tried to regroup, but they were fighting an enemy they hadn't known existed. Their weapons, designed to overwhelm primitive defenses, barely scratched the advanced shields of Earth's warships. Their tactics, unchanged for centuries, were countered before they could even execute them. This is impossible. Lord Richard raged as another of his ships exploded. They're supposed to be primitives. How do they have this technology? Lieutenant Tom's escaping ships suddenly turned around, revealing themselves as elite stealth attackers. Third wave, engage, he commanded. His ships struck from below, their quantum torpedoes ripping through Imperial hull armor. The Empire's mighty fleet found itself caught in a perfect 3-dimensional trap. Above, Captain Robert's ships struck with devastating precision. From the sides, Fleet Commander Mary's forces prevented any escape. From below, Lieutenant Tom's squadrons picked off any ship that tried to break formation. Admiral, Mary reported, the Imperial fleet is in complete disarray. Their command structure is breaking down. They never trained for an enemy that could actually fight back. Admiral James watched the tactical display as the Empire's fleet was systematically taken apart. Send the message, he ordered. Let's let them know exactly who they're dealing with. On every Imperial ship's command frequency, a message appeared in perfect Imperial script. From the United Earth Defense Force, you should have scanned deeper. You should have looked harder. You should have realized that humanity is not to be underestimated. Prepare to surrender or be destroyed. The battle continued to rage across Earth's orbit, but its outcome was already decided. The Empire's greatest fleet was about to suffer its first major defeat in 500 years, at the hands of those they had dismissed as primitives. The space around Earth had become a graveyard of Imperial ships. The mighty fleet that had arrived to subjugate humanity was now scattered and broken. Lord Richard's flagship listed helplessly, its engines dead and weapons offline. Status report. Lord Richard shouted as his bridge shook from another direct hit. My lord, we've lost 38 ships, his officer reported, face pale with fear. Their weapons, they go right through our shields like they aren't even there. Nothing in our database matches their technology. Admiral James stood on the bridge of his flagship, now visible for all to see. The massive Earth vessel dwarfed the Imperial ships, its sleek design showing centuries of human innovation. "All ships move to containment positions," he ordered. "Don't let any of them escape. The Empire needs to learn this lesson fully." Captain Roberts' squadron herded the remaining Imperial ships into a tight cluster. Their advanced engines allowed them to move with impossible speed and precision, blocking every attempt at escape. "Look at their tactics," he commented to his crew. "They only know how to fight weaker enemies. They have no strategy for facing an equal force." In her command ship, Fleet Commander Mary watched the tactical display with satisfaction. "All Imperial escape routes have been cut off," she reported. "They're completely surrounded." Lieutenant Tom's stealth ships appeared and disappeared around the Imperial fleet, their advanced cloaking technology making them seem like ghosts. Each time they appeared, another Imperial ship lost its engines or weapons. It wasn't just a victory. It was a demonstration of absolute technological superiority. "This is Admiral James of the United Earth Defense Force to all Imperial vessels." His voice boomed across all channels. "Your fleet is defeated. Your technology is outdated. Your tactics are predictable. Surrender now." On his crippled flagship, Lord Richard stared in disbelief at the massive Earth ships surrounding his fleet. "How?" he whispered. "How did we not see this?" "Because you didn't want to," came Admiral James's reply, the quantum communications easily breaking through Imperial encryption. "You saw what you expected to see. A primitive world ready for conquest. You never looked deeper." Earth's ships moved in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with technology far beyond Imperial understanding. Where the Empire used basic antimatter drives, humanity's ships rode quantum fields through space. Where Imperial ships relied on brute force, Earth's vessels displayed an elegant fusion of power and precision. "Send the signal to the Imperial capital," Admiral James ordered. "Show them exactly what their pride has cost them." Across the Imperial communication network, videos began playing. They showed Earth's true cities, hidden beneath the primitive facades. They revealed the vast shipyards orbiting Mercury, the research bases on Mars, the fleet bases in the asteroid belt. Everything humanity had hidden was now displayed in perfect, crushing detail. 50 years, Admiral James's voice echoed across all frequencies. "For 50 years we watched you. We studied you. We surpassed you. And you never knew because you were too proud to look carefully at those you thought beneath you." The remaining Imperial ships hung motionless in space, their crews watching in stunned silence as humanity revealed its true power. The primitive world they had come to conquer had turned out to be far more advanced than they could have imagined. "Signal from the Imperial capital," Lieutenant Tom reported. They're requesting emergency diplomatic talks." Admiral James smiled. "Tell them we'll be happy to negotiate as equals, and remind them that we still have 300 more ships they haven't seen yet." Around Earth, humanity's fleet maintained their positions, their advanced technology now fully displayed for the galaxy to see. The Empire had arrived expecting to find primitives. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, one that had been preparing for this day for half a century. 1 week after the battle, the Imperial Palace on their capital world received unusual visitors. Admiral James and Fleet Commander Mary walked confidently through the grand halls, their advanced Earth uniforms standing out among the ornate Imperial decorations. The Emperor himself, for the first time in 300 years, had been forced to call an emergency meeting of the Imperial Council. The humans had not come as supplicants or conquered people. They had come as equals, or perhaps even superiors. "How did we not see this?" the Emperor demanded, looking at the holographic display showing Earth's true capabilities. "How did an entire civilization hide itself from us?" Admiral James stepped forward. "You saw what you wanted to see, Your Majesty. Your empire has grown so used to finding primitive worlds that you forgot the galaxy might hold surprises." The display showed images that shook the Imperial Council to its core. Vast shipyards hidden in Mercury's orbit, capable of building vessels more advanced than anything in the Imperial fleet. Research centers on Mars that had taken Imperial technology and improved it beyond recognition. Mining operations in the asteroid belt that used techniques the Empire hadn't even theorized yet. Our terms are simple, Fleet Commander Mary stated, her voice firm. Earth and the entire Sol system are recognized as an independent power. Any Imperial ships entering our space will be considered an act of war. And believe me, you've only seen a fraction of our true capabilities. In orbit above the Imperial capital, Captain Robert commanded a fleet of 50 Earth ships, each one visibly more advanced than anything the Empire possessed. It was both a guard force and a reminder of humanity's power. But how did you advance so quickly? One of the Imperial scientists asked, studying the technical readouts with a mixture of fear and awe. These developments should have taken centuries. Because we never stopped innovating, Admiral James explained. Your empire grew comfortable. You found a level of technology that let you dominate lesser worlds, and you stopped pushing forward. Humanity never stops pushing boundaries. Lieutenant Tom, watching from one of the Earth ships in orbit, received reports from back home. The fake primitive settlements were being dismantled, revealing the true face of human civilization. Cities that rivaled anything in the Empire emerged from their camouflage. The pretense was over. We've been watching your empire for 50 years, Admiral James continued. We saw how you treated other worlds, how you stripped them of resources and independence. So we prepared. Every time you developed a new technology, we found a way to counter it. Every tactic you used, we developed a response. The Emperor, his face showing his age for the first time in decades, nodded slowly. And now, what does Earth want from the Empire? Peace, Fleet Commander Mary answered. And respect. We have no interest in conquest, but we will not be conquered. The galaxy is vast enough for both our civilizations to prosper. The treaty was signed within hours. The Galactic Empire, for the first time in its history, acknowledged another power as its equal. The image of Earth's fleet destroying the Imperial invasion force had been broadcast across thousands of worlds. The age of unchallenged Imperial dominance was over. As Admiral James and his team prepared to return to Earth, the Emperor approached him privately. You could have revealed yourselves at any time. You could have attacked us years ago. Why wait? James smiled. Because we wanted to be sure. Sure of our technology, sure of our strength, and most importantly, sure that you needed to learn this lesson. Pride and arrogance led you to underestimate humanity. Remember that lesson well. Above the Imperial capital, Earth's ships prepared to return home. They had achieved something unprecedented. They had humbled an empire not through conquest, but through patience, innovation, and strategic thinking. The galaxy would never be the same. A new power had risen, one that had outsmarted the greatest empire ever known. And it had all happened because the Empire never expected humanity's fleet, until it was far too late.